boot camp. Hope you're all having a great day so far. All right, so for today's boot camp, we are going to do a couple of circuits. So we're going to have our warm up with just a couple of different movements, getting the shoulders and the hips warmed up, as well as the torso and a couple of different ab muscles there as well. And then we've got two different circuits, one working on our lower body, getting the heart rate up, and the other getting our upper body, core, and a little bit of shoulder work as well. Then we're going to finish things off with our stretching little cool down session. Let me just adjust this camera here for y'all. All right. Awesome. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is start our warm up. So first thing we've got is going to be a kneeling lunge. So we're going to pop down onto one knee, getting that knee down to the ground. We're going to drive out our knee past the toe, getting past that second toe of the foot, and coming back out. Just working nice and even, trying to open up those hips a little bit there. Driving the knee out past the toe, and coming back. Nice and even back and forth. Now here, people commonly round out their back as they come forward. I want you guys to try and suck that belly button to the spine and keep that chest up and back straight so you really get a lengthening through the front of the hip there. Back and forth, go ahead and switch sides. Sending that knee out over the toe and coming back forward. Nice and even. A couple of times through on this side. Driving that knee out over the second toe, keeping that back nice and flat. Belly button sucked into the spine. Chest nice and proud. Couple more. And done. Good. Next up, we've got our shoulder push up. So getting down onto our hands and knees. We're going to get the hands directly below the shoulders, knees directly below the hips. And from here, we're going to work on our shoulder retraction and protraction. So I'm just going to, keeping my elbows locked out, I'm just going to drop my chest down to the ground, keeping those shoulders away from the ears, and then pressing the ground away, driving my chest back up, and lowering back down. Now, when you lower the chest down, keep the elbows locked out, and you want to imagine you're squeezing an orange on your back, really pinching those shoulder blades together and driving through. Let's get a couple more here. Warming up the shoulders, sucking that belly button up to spine. Getting that nice tight bridge pose. And relax. All right. Last one here, the warm-up that we're going to do is our half kneeling Cossack squat. So we're going to get on one knee. We're going to bring our front foot up and out. So toes pointed to 90 degrees. And from here, I'm going to keep my shoulders and my hips square with the camera. And I'm going to drive my knee out over that toe again. Coming back up. So doing just like we were doing those lunges, but out to the side. Right at 90 degrees, keeping the hips and shoulders square, really trying to open up the front of that hip there. Sucking that belly button to spine. Driving back and forth. A few more. And switch sides. Other foot out. Getting to that 90 degree, toes pointed out to side, and driving out, coming back to standing, not quite standing, more like half kneeling. moving back and forth, really getting onto the inside of that hip there. Driving back and forth. And relax. All right. Now we're going to get into the first portion of our workout here, that first circuit. We're going to go twice through and then head into the upper body. Okay, so first off, we've got our marches. So getting our feet directly below the hips, standing nice and tall, suck the belly button, the spine, chest nice and proud. We're going to drive the knees up towards the chest, trying to come straight back down to the same spot. Each time, we're not shifting too much side to side, but really pulling those knees straight up to the chest. Finding a nice pace, nice rhythm. Speeding things up just a little bit as we finish up the time. A little bit more speed, getting those hands pumping. And rest. All right. Next up, we've got our reverse lunges. So I'm gonna get my feet underneath my hips, about hip width apart, and stepping back behind. I'm gonna step into a lunge and give a little twist as I come down, dropping that knee down, giving a slight tap, and coming straight back up. Increasing the pace. Nice and quick. We want to try and keep the weight over that midpoint of the foot, right over the arch. As you come up, driving that weight up through the hips, using your front leg like a spring. And if you want to increase challenge a little bit, you can tilt your chest forward a little bit over the knee, giving a little bit more weight directly over that midpoint of the foot. A few more. And rest. Good. Excuse me. Next up, we've got our Frankenstein, okay? So, starting in a nice tall standing position, feet directly underneath the hips. We're going to kick our feet straight out, crossing our hand across the body, tapping the toe, or getting as close as we can while we keep that back straight, chest proud, moving back and forth. Kicking those feet straight out, keeping balance, trying to stay in the same spot as we bring that foot back down. A few more. And done. Good. Next up, we have our single leg RDLs. Now, you guys can do these in a kickstand or a single leg variation. I'm going to bring this right here to show you. If you want to try a little bit harder, you can do the single leg variation with like a chair, shelf, something to help balance a little bit. And you're going to just gently grab that balance and swing the leg back and come back to standing, creating the nice flat T position. Trying to get that balance on one leg. Or you can have the kickstand where you slightly bend one knee and have that same extension forward. Snapping back up into place, you just keep that leg down on the ground. So the idea here with the single leg, go ahead and switch sides if you have it, is that you have a little bit of stability crutch, right? So ideally you try it a couple of times with your hand off, see if you got that balance, or stay with that hand on. And we're trying to really work into that hamstring, back of the leg. Few more. And done. Good. Next up, we're going to go back to those marches, starting at the top, getting our feet directly below our hips. We're going to drive the knees up, tapping quickly off the floor, trying to get those feet moving quick, trying to pick up the pace, driving those knees up the chest, pumping the hands, belly button sucked up the spine, chest nice and proud. Nice quick pace. Few more, almost there. And rest. Good. Next up, we have our reverse lunges. So, finding that space behind us, we're going to get our feet directly underneath our hips and stepping back, giving a little rotation at the bottom, coming back up, keeping that weight over the midpoint of the foot, twisting down, crossing over the knee, and coming back up. Back and forth. Nice and even. Couple more seconds. Finding that good pace. Driving that weight up like a spring through the leg. And rest. Good. Next up, we've got our Frankenstein. So, back to that standing tall position. Feet directly below the hips. We're going to kick the feet out, crossing our hand, trying to tap that toe. Going back and forth. Nice, even kicks. Trying to keep that chest nice and proud. Sucking that belly button in the spine. Really trying to work on kicking that foot up as high as it'll go. Few more seconds, keep it up. And rest. Nice job. Next up, we have our single leg RDLs or our kickstands. So one of the two, starting out, bending that knee, grabbing that shelf, and leaning forward, lowering the chest down, snapping back up, moving back and forth, getting a little bit of balance, stability through one side of the leg here. Whatever you decide on that crutch, whether it's the foot or the hand, just barely giving that touch to the ground, really getting all of our weight onto that extended, planted leg. Go ahead and switch sides. Really swinging those hips back behind us. We're not just lowering the back down, but swinging those hips back, keeping the back nice and flat. Folding down, coming back up. Few more. And rest. Good. All right. We're going to start our upper body and core work here for the next part. So first thing we're going to do is get down to our hands and knees. We've got our bird dogs. So starting on one side, we're going to extend out opposite hand and leg. So bringing one hand out, one foot out, creating a nice flat line. through the torso, connecting toe to fingertip. Sucking that belly button up to the spine. Getting our weight even over the hand and the knee. Holding for about 10 seconds, coming down and extending back out. Giving a nice long hold. Really getting that tabletop posture through 2 points of contact. Sucking that belly button up the spine. Coming down and extending back out for 1 more. And switching sides, extending out. Sucking that belly button up, connecting that toe to hand, creating that nice flat line through the torso. Got 3 10 seconds hold here. Last one. And lowering down, good. Next up, we've got our plank rotation. So, popping those knees up, getting into our pillar or plank position, up on our hands. From here, we're gonna rotate up onto one hand, hold for about 5 seconds, and come back down. Extending the other hand up, holding, and rotating through at a nice, structured, even pace for about a 5-second hold. And then coming back down, switching sides. Nice and even, getting those feet wide so we're nice and stable. Trying to keep that weight over the shoulder, really working into the shoulder stability muscles here for a few more seconds. And rest. We're down. Next up, we've got our IYTs. So, laying down on the ground, hands out, extended, thumbs pointed up to the ceiling. We're going to extend the hands up, popping the chest up off the ground, holding, and lowering down. Coming out to a 45 for our Ys, popping up, holding, and lowering back down. Finally coming out for those Ts, popping up, holding, and lowering back down. Coming back up top for our Is, holding, and lowering back down. Wide for the Ys, up, and lowering back down. Out for the Ts, and up, lowering back down. Very good. Next up, we're flipping over for our dead bugs. Okay, so gonna get our feet up off the ground, knees bent at 90 degrees, hands extended out in front, placing them on top of the knees here. And just like our bird dogs, we're gonna extend opposite hand and leg out. So extending those opposite arm and leg, coming back to middle. You want to try and pull that lower back down into the ground so we don't have that spine curving upwards towards the ceiling. Still sucking that belly button into the spine, as always. Finding a nice even pace. Let's really focus in and lock in on our movement here. Couple more. And rest. Good. All right. Flipping back over, starting with those bird dogs. We're gonna get our hands directly beneath the shoulders, knees below the hips, and we're extending hand and foot out, creating a nice flat line, holding, sucking that belly button up to spine, keeping that weight over the hand and knee, nice and balanced, coming back down and extending out. Giving a nice fold up at the top, creating that flat line from toe to fingertip. And one more. And switching sides, extending out, holding, nice flat line, extending all the way through, lowering down. And holding up at the top, sucking that belly button up the spine, finding that nice balance point. And lowering down. Good. Next up, we have our plank rotations. So getting our feet wide, rotating our hands up, twisting through the core, holding up at the top, and switching sides. Staying back and forth, finding that stability through each shoulder. Holding for about 5 seconds. And switching sides. A few more. And lowering down for our IYTs, getting the arms extended out in front, thumbs pointed to the ceiling, and we're pulling the thumbs up, chest up, holding, and lowering down, coming out wide to the Ys, popping up, holding the thumbs up, and lowering down again, out for the T's at 90, popping up, and lowering back down, extending the hands back out again, popping the hands and chest up, getting those thumbs up as high as they'll go, coming down, out for the Ys, pulling up, squeezing those shoulders together, lowering away from the ears, coming down and out for the T's. Squeezing that orange on the back, getting that chest up, thumbs up to the ceiling. Hold it and lowering down. Good. Next up, we're flipping over for our dead bugs. So getting our feet flat on the floor. We're going to bring our feet up off the ground, knees at 90 and extending arm and leg out, pulling that back down into the ground, sucking the belly button to spine, extending back and forward. Nice even pace. Getting that good lower abdominal and hip work. Few more. And rest. All right. Nice job, everybody. We're going to finish out our session with just a quick little stretch. So, bringing your feet together out in front, we're going to slide the hands down the shin, reaching towards the ankle, stretching into the hamstrings and the lower back. Taking nice deep breaths, reaching for those toes, trying to grab the feet. It's good to try and find an anchor point to help hold that tension and hold that length. through the hamstrings. All right, and leaning back, we're gonna pull one leg back into our hurdler stretch and lowering the body down. Either popped up onto your elbows, your hands, or laying flat onto the ground, stretching into that quad and hip flexor. Nice deep breaths in and out, regaining control of our breath, of our heart, and the brain, bringing it back into focus. And rolling out to the side, extending the leg out, folding our other leg back, tucking it by the hip, and lowering back down. Stretching into that quad and hip flexor. Nice deep breath in, out. And rolling out to the side, extending that leg out, and finishing our session. All right, guys, thank you so much for hopping in. I hope you had a great class, good workout. Sorry for being late. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or just need to chat about fitness. Shoot me a message. Thank you so much for hopping in.
Thanks, Quinn. See ya.
You're welcome.